Oh, hello, YouTube. So, funny story. I was originally going to be reading Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer, which I'm still going to do, by the way. But the idea of having to read about those dummies for over 600 pages just gave me so much anxiety right now. So it's going to happen, just not right now. I did not have it in me. But there are so many other great iconic vampire books I could be reading. And then I was like, ooh, you know what? I haven't read Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. And then I was like, oh my God, Amanda, you have a classic on your hands. And you know what else you've got? I'll show you what I've got. I've got wine, so this is officially a drunk classics. I am very excited about it. So I'm going to read Carmilla. It's lesbian vampires. That's like the extent of my knowledge about it. Hi. I have read the first two chapters. I have things to discuss. Okay, so this is what's happening, right? So my girl Laura, she's like a young woman, and she lives in like a gothic castle that's really isolated with her dad and like some servants and stuff. And she's telling us about her life at the castle, and in one particular story from when she was a little kid, because it's like important for the rest of the story. One day when Laura was a little kid, she was like alone in her nursery, or so she thought, because she like turned around and then all of a sudden there was like a strange lady in there with her. But like the lady was like young and pretty, and apparently Laura doesn't understand what stranger danger is, because she literally gets into bed with this strange woman. So Laura's falling asleep, and then like all of a sudden she feels like she got stabbed in the chest by like two little needles, because this is a vampire book, right? So she's like, "Wah!" She starts screaming her little head off because, you know, she's a kid. And so all the servants come running, and they're like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? And all she's saying, like, the lady bit me. And all the servants are like, what? There's literally no one in this room right now, because apparently like the weird lady had just like vanished by the time the servants got there. And since Laura was like 7 and there's no evidence of something happening, they're just like, maybe you were sleeping, Laura. Like, let's go back to bed. You know, they just kind of, brush it under the rug. Okay, so cut to right now. Laura, she's a young woman, still living at the haunted mansion in the boonies with her dad. One day, like, the dad's old army buddy, like, the general, was supposed to come visit, and he was going to bring his niece with him, who's around, like, Laura's age. And, like, Laura hyped for this. She wanted to meet this girl because she literally has no one to talk to. It's just her and her dad. And her dad's cool and all, but like she's just like very lonely. However, they get this letter, and it's from the general. And the dad's like, oh shit, he's not gonna come right now because his niece, that girl you're really excited to meet and I wanted you to meet, yeah, she like dropped dead real suddenly. So they read the letter together, and it's really weird, bizarre letter. Like, it's full of cryptic magical bullshit, and they don't really know what to make out of it. But basically the story is like the general, he invited this stranger to stay in his house with his niece, and like things were okay, but then like over time, the stranger killed the niece, and now he's out monster hunting for vengeance. He's full ghostwriter right now. So yeah, everyone's really sad that the general's not coming with his niece, and life goes on, whatever. He'll come someday. And later that night, things get weirder, because all of a sudden there's like this huge carriage crash like right outside of the castle. One of the carriages like flips over, it's like demolished, and then like there's other carriage pulls up, but the other carriage is fine. So the lady gets out of like the good carriage, and she's like, oh no, my daughter. So they're like, oh shit, there's someone in the carriage. So they go and they like pull this young woman out of the carriage, and luckily she doesn't seem to be very hurt. She's just knocked out for right now. So the mother's like, okay, good. Hey, you grown man of the house, I need to talk to you. So she goes over and starts talking to the dad, and she's like, hey, listen, I know my daughter is like injured and we're strangers, but like, I've got a tight schedule for today. And honestly, I need to get stepping. Like, I need to go right now. Where can I leave my daughter? You know, mother of the year, everybody. So the dad is like, oh my God, like really taken aback by this. But he's like, you know what? Why don't you leave her here? Because like I have a daughter that's around her age and like it'll be safe. I think that's probably for the best. You don't seem fit. And the mom's like, great, splendid, perfect. I'll pick her up in 3 months, maybe. Bye. And then she gets in her carriage and just fucking leaves. She just leaves her daughter with a strange man she just met. This book is so weird to start off with. But anyway, I'm going to keep reading. We're going to see what happens next. So they bring this girl inside their house and they put her in a bedroom. She wakes up and she's like, oh, where is my mom? La, la, la. And they're like, she left you. It was weird. And she's like, yeah, she does that. And so they're getting her all set up in bed. Everyone's like, loves this girl. She's pretty. She's like polite. Everybody loves this little wounded dove. And later that night, Laura's dad is like, Laura, girl, I'm going to spill some tea. Because her and her dad have this cute relationship. But he's like, Laura, do you know what that woman said to me? It was wild. He's like, she was telling me how, oh, my daughter is like sickly and la la la. But like, you know what? She is 100% sane. Like, she got in my face about it. Like, it was really weird that she like had to emphasize how sane she was. It was very strange. And then to top things off, she tells me she will never tell you where she came and who we are. She's gonna keep her mouth fucking shut and I'll be back in 3 months, maybe. Bye. And Laura's like, what the fuck? And the dad's like, I know, right? What the fuck? Now he's like double guessing his whole kind gesture to let this girl stay here because he's like, oh my God, are they fugitives? Who is in my house? But this girl is so nice and sweet that they're like, oh, well, whatever. She's a good egg. Laura's is like, oh my gosh, it's a girl my own age. I am so hyped. So she goes into her bedroom and she's like, hi, I'm Laura. And then she finally like full on sees the girl that they brought in, like her full face. And she freaks out because the girl in the bed is the girl from the beginning of the book that she got in bed with for cuddles who bit her. And she's like, bitch, you bit me. Like, she is horrified. But like, you know, I guess the girl in the bed is going to be obviously Carmilla here. Like, let's be real. We figured this out. But like, she is gaslighting this girl from the get-go. She's like, oh my gosh, I know your face. And then she recounts the same story that Laura would have from her perspective as a child. Like, oh, the same thing happened to me. I was dreaming and I saw you as an adult and we were in bed together and then you screamed and then like I disappeared. So she's already like changing that reality for her. And Laura's like, oh my God, girl, same. Like, this is wild. And then they get along and they have all these similar interests and stuff. And they're like, oh my God, did we just become best friends? So they're very excited about it. And then things are kind of normal for a bit. Like they get up the next day and like a doctor comes, it's fine, she's okay. And mind you, I said daylight. So that is like, I'm interested in because like Carmilla, vampire. But like Laura's very specifically said that her face looks just as pretty in daylight. So like this lady's outside. So I don't know if this is like a sunlight vampire, but like things are afoot. Okay, I have been reading a little bit more. Things have been happening and they're getting like very, very sapphic and also very creepy. I'll explain. So Carmilla and Laura, they are like best friends. They do everything together. And Laura is conflicted about this because she is equal parts attracted to and repulsed by Carmilla. But Carmilla is hot, so she's confused about like the feelings she feels. But also, Carmilla is incessantly clingy. Like she'll grab Laura and start kissing her and like telling her, we need to be together forever, forever and ever. Even if we hate each other, it doesn't matter because we'll be still together. And she's like kissing her and stuff. And like Laura's like, oh no, I'm feeling tingly things, but also I'm creeped out. I don't know how to feel right now. And if that wasn't all enough, things start getting weirder because like in like, I don't know, like the village on their estate, like they have like people who live there. Like some of the women in that village are getting sick. and dying very quickly. And it's all of like the same disease. It's like a wasting away disease. And here's the kicker on it. Both of these women, before they died, were like saying, I'm attacked by a ghost. There's a ghost and it bit me and it attacked me and now I'm dying. And like everyone's like, this is above our pay grade. I don't know what to do with evil ghosts killing people. Then we're gonna stack another weird coincidence like on top of that one, because like one day this huge like shipment of stuff comes to the estate, because that's like, they didn't have Amazon. This is like gossip. You got a big old crate that all your servants had to crack open and pull stuff out of. And this one in particular had like all of this old art, things from like the old Count castle. I don't know. There's this other little like ruins of a village from like the people on her mom's side of the family were like minor nobility or like a count or something. It's stuff from like that side of the family, all these like portraits and paintings and stuff. And then one of the paintings that gets pulled out was, you know, spitting image of Carmilla. And on it, it says this was like the Countess Mircalla. And like, come on. Mircalla, Carmilla, it's barely a different spelling. They just moved like 2 letters. But Laura is still kind of obsessed with Carmilla, even though she's creeped out sometimes, but she's also attracted to her. So she's like, oh my God, can I have this in my room? Don't ask why. So she immediately wants this painting in her room. And I'm like, yeah, you do. But like Carmilla also like notices that she wants her portrait in her room. And she's like, yeah, you do. And then Carmilla starts doing her creepy, like obsessive stuff where she's like, oh, Laura, you're my love and I love you and I'll never fall in love unless it's with you. La, la, la. This, you know, eccentric, intense lesbian vampire stuff that we all know and love. And Laura's like, okay, so we're like best friends, right? And like, you love me, right? I need to know something about you because you have told me nothing about where you came from, who your family is. Like, what's your last name? Like, I know literally nothing about you. I should know things about you if we're best friends. So Carmilla finally like gives her a nugget, just a little thing to like tide her over. And she says, you know what, a really, really long time ago, I went to my first ball. And Laura's like, bitch, you're like 19. What do you mean? A long, long time ago. But Carmilla just keeps going, you know, weird, eccentric, lesbian vampire stuff. And she's like, yes, I went to the ball and then I went to bed. And then she was nearly killed and she was wounded by 2 needles, like piercing her chest, you know, in the same place where like Laura got bit when she was a kid. And Carmilla says after that experience, she just never was the same again. She's always been really different ever since, you know, she almost got murdered. So anyway, story time's over. They go to bed. Later that night, Laura, she is having some fucked up dreams because she's in bed minding her own damn business and she sees like a human-sized house cat get in her room. I don't know, there's like a werecat in her room right now. And then the werecat gets into bed with Laura. And then it bites her in the chest. And then, Laura's like, what's going on? And then she looks again at like the werecat and she's like, oh no, that's a lady. But she doesn't see her face. And then the lady just like zips out of the room before she can like track her motion. So Laura doesn't know what to do with herself. She just saw a werecat try to eat her. So she's just like, nope. She just lays in bed like wide-eyed the rest of the night going, oh my God. And so she wakes up. And, you know, it's like late afternoon when Carmilla gets out of bed and she's like, oh my God, Laura, I had the weirdest dream last night. I dreamed there was a giant werecat in my room and then she turned into a lady and I got scared and I grabbed like this magical charm I have and like it went away. And then Laura's like, girl, you will never believe this. So she's like, same again. How are we twins here? This is wild. So here we are. Carmilla gaslighting the day away. It's wild. All right, I'm going to read some more and I'm going to drink some more wine and I shall be back. Way more weird stuff is happening. So after the whole, nightmare cat debacle situation, Carmilla, she's like, Laura, you should sleep with this magical charm because like It's gonna scare away evil spirits, and like it helps you sleep. Like, this is the best idea I've ever had. Laura, you need to get one of these. So Laura's like, okay, you know what? Can't hurt. I'll try it. Give me the magical charm. Laura goes to bed, right? She has her magical charm with her. And oh my gosh, does she sleep the whole night through? Just the sleep of the dead. Like, every day she wakes up after having this super deep sleep the night before, and like she's so tired the next day, and like she looks tired. And I don't mean just like she skipped makeup that day. She looks bad. She looks like, girl, you need like vitamins. I don't know. Like, she looks rough. And Laura doesn't want to stress out her dad because she's having bad dreams. She feels like, you know, like a child or whatever. She's like, I'm just not going to tell anybody. Whatever. I'm keeping it to myself. And like, this shit goes on for like 3 weeks. Like, every day, waking up feeling exhausted. And also, this magical charm isn't always working. Like, obviously, I feel like this is drugging her, but like sometimes it doesn't work, and then she gets like these crazy, strange, erotically violent dreams of like someone getting on her and biting her neck, and she's having weird feelings about it. So she's like, I don't know what to do. My neck hurts. And then at one of these times she's having her crazy, sexy, violent dream, she looks up and she sees Carmilla, and she's like covered in blood, and she's like, ah! So she starts screaming bloody murder, and she runs downstairs and she's screaming hysterically, and all the like servants come out and they're like, what the fuck? Who's on fire? And she's like, it's Carmilla. She's dead. I know it. Someone hurt her. And she's like freaking the fuck out about Carmilla. So everyone's like, okay, let's go check on Carmilla. Okay. So everyone goes upstairs. No one can get in her room because Carmilla locks her door at night, right? So like they get some other servants and they like get her door open. They like, I don't know, they pick the lock or whatever, and they get in there. Guess who's not in the bedroom? Carmilla. She has disappeared. No one knows where she is. They go searching for the rest of the night. They go searching all morning, and they cannot find Carmilla anywhere. So the day goes by and they still haven't found her, and it's like, I don't know, it's after like 1-2 o'clock or something, and Laura is just beside herself. She's like, my friend is dead. I know it. Someone kidnapped her and they killed her. I don't know. She's just like thinking of the worst case scenarios here. So she goes upstairs. She's like, okay, I'm just gonna go in Carmilla's room and think or whatever. So she goes in Carmilla's room. Guess who's in Carmilla's room all of a sudden? Fucking Carmilla, just standing there like nothing happened. And she's like, huh? What's happening? Why are you so upset? And for this second time in less than 24 hours, Laura loses her shit. Oh my god, you're alive! She's like kissing her and like so happy. She's ringing like the servant bells. All the servants come up. Her dad comes up, and everyone's like, "Yay, Carmilla's not dead!" And they're like, "What happened? Where were you?" And she's like, "I don't know. I woke up in the closet." Everyone's like, "Girl, we checked your closet. You weren't in there." She's like, "I don't know. That's where I was when I woke up." And like no one has an explanation. So her dad kind of comes in the room and is like, hey, Carmilla, let's chat. Let's chat for a minute. I'm gonna ask you a question. Don't feel embarrassed, but like, do you sleepwalk? It sounds like you sleepwalk. And Carmilla's like, yeah, you know, maybe once when I was a kid or something. And I was like, nailed it. Dad feels real proud of himself. Like, oh yeah, I solved this crime. I solved the mystery. You were sleepwalking. You know what? How about we put a servant outside your door at night, so just in case you try to go outside and you're sleepwalking, they'll just turn you back around. Okay, problem solved. Bing, bang, boom. Everyone's happy. And it's like so wild. What is happening now? Just a sea of sexy, violent dreams for like so much of this book. Anyway, I'm going to go back into this. I want to see what comes of these sexy, violent dreams. Hi. I'm back. Okay. I think the last time I checked in, I was talking about sexy, violent dreams, right? Okay, so Laura, she's having sexy, violent dreams. And she is sick. Like every morning she wakes up and she's exhausted, right? So she looks bad. And like, she starts looking real bad. Like, yikes, do you have scurvy? Like, she is really sickly looking. And her dad's like, ew, what is this? I'm calling the doctor. So the doctor comes and he's like, Laura, what's going on? And she's like, okay, you're a doctor. I could tell you all this stuff and hopefully you won't think I'm crazy. So she tells him everything, like all of the weird, crazy, sexy dreams, the giant human-sized cat person she saw, and like how every night she feels like something cold getting on her and then like something biting her neck and she's freaked out. So the doctor's like, yeah, that's a lot. So she brings her dad in the room and he's like, hey, father, could you like pull down her neck of her dress? I want to look at her neck. And thank fucking goodness, okay? This doctor is way better than Dracula. Okay, so in Dracula, I had one beef with this book, and it's like the doctor in that book who's like in love with Lucy. She keeps saying, my neck hurts, and no one ever looks at her neck in that whole book. But luckily in Carmilla, which is actually an influence on Dracula, the doctor looks at her fucking neck and he's like, yep, that's a vampire bite. So the doctor takes the dad away and he's like, listen, okay, this is what you got to do. You have to have someone with Laura like 24/7, nonstop. I don't care what she's doing. She's in the bathroom. She's got a person with her. Someone has to be with her at all times, period. So the dad's like, yeah, okay, fine. I will definitely have someone with her all the time. There's no problem. Like, I want her to get better. And the doctor's like, good. If you do that, she'll probably get better in like a couple days. She just needs a rest. So doctor leaves, and then like the mail comes, and the dad gets a letter, and it's from his army buddy, the general. And the general's like, hey, friend, you should come meet me in the ruins of that abandoned village over there. You need to come. So Laura and her dad, they set off towards the ruins in a carriage, and then like Carmilla and the maid are going to come in a second carriage later. And so Laura and her dad get to the ruins, and they find the general. And the general's like, hey, friends, thanks for coming. And the dad's like, bro, why did you call us here? And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. I need to go dig up these tombs, and I'm going to put some monsters out of commission, bro. And the dad is like, what is happening? this is like, I just got here. This is a lot to take in. So then the general proceeds to like give the whole story of what happened to his niece. And it is like remarkably similar. It's almost like exactly the same thing that happened when they found Carmilla. Like the general, he went to a ball with his niece, and the niece met this girl at the ball who kept like eye fucking her the whole night, and he was like, that's weird, whatever, my niece seems to like her, and they're like best friends, I guess, because they don't understand lesbianism. And he meets the mother of that girl, and she's like hot. She's like age appropriate, and she likely has a title. So like general's like, well, let me get my hair in order. Hello, lady. Like he's trying to hit on the mom. He's like, hey, I'm just a general. I don't got a title. You got one. And then all of a sudden the mom gets like a message from like a servant, and she's like, listen, I've got to go right now. Okay, it's life or death. Don't ask me any questions. My daughter, don't ask her any questions either. We're not allowed to tell you, but I'm leaving right now. Take care of my daughter for like 3 weeks, and then goes. So, you know, the general really doesn't have a choice here. He's stuck with this girl, but he's like, well, at least my niece likes her, so here we are. And then much of the same stuff started happening between like the niece and Mircalla as the like Laura and Carmilla. And then like his niece started getting sick, like the same way that Laura's getting sick right now. And then one day it progressed to the point where his niece just didn't wake up. And he's like, oh my God. So they like get a doctor, right? And the doctor comes over and he like examines her. And he's like, listen, I can't do anything for this girl. Really? Like, you need to go get a priest because like she has a hot case of vampire bite-itis. So the general tries to get a priest. No priests are available. So he's like, well, fuck. So he hides out his niece's bedroom that night with like his sword. He's like, oh, I'm going to stab me a werecat. I'm doing it. And then he sees like this black mask come into the room, right? And it's like, and he's like, that's weird. And then he gets on the niece and like bites her. And he's like, hell no. So he grabs his sword and he starts like swinging at this werecat. And then it flips over and it turns into a woman. And it's fucking Mircalla. That's the face he sees, and he's like, oh, you slimy little bitch. He's very upset with her, and he tries to kill her with his sword some more. But she got away in the night, and then the next morning, the niece succumbed to all of the vampire bites, and she died. And now he's sad, and so he's going up to these chapel ruins in this town because he's like, listen, I'm gonna go dig up the grave of like the original Countess Mircalla. And like, I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna look in it, and I'm gonna chop off her head. And her dad is freaking out. He's like, oh my God, what in the lumberjack fuck is happening? Like, what do you mean you're gonna chop off her head? And the general's like, bruh, that's how you kill vampires, you in? And it's right around now that second carriage rolls up into the ruins. And like, Carmilla gets out of the carriage. And once like the general sees Carmilla, he sees red. It is hatchet murder time, everybody, because that's the bitch that killed his niece. And he's like, nah, he's trying to kill her. So he goes like to chop her head off, and like she dodges super fast. She like grabs his arm and like knocks the like hatchet out of his hand, and then she like just like vanishes, just disappears. And everyone's like, what the fuck just happened? Everyone is freaking out. Anyway, that's as far as I've gotten, but like, ooh, this was some hot gossip. I had to share it. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna pour myself one more glass of wine, and I'm gonna finish this book. It's official. I finished Carmilla. Okay, where I leave off. So they're in the ruins, right? And Carmilla disappeared, and they're all like, what the fuck? So they're like, listen, it's late in the day. We should come back in the morning and like deal with this. So they all decide to go home. But on the way back, her dad's like, you know what? Let's go pick up the local priest. We're gonna bring him back to the house for the night. Okay. So they pick up the priest, they go back to the house, and the priest and her father and like 2 servants and a maid all stay in Laura's bedroom that night. She has a small little militia around her to keep her safe. And she's like, I don't know why everyone needs to be in here, but okay. Like, Laura, I don't know how you don't understand at this point. But anyway, she falls asleep. She wakes up in the morning, and wouldn't you know, a night without Carmilla was just what the doctor ordered, because she wakes up in the morning. She's like, wow, I feel like so much better. So the Scooby Gang all pack up and they go back to the ruins, right? And it's the morning, and they go to the chapel, and the general has like this really detailed like map of the old chapel to like figure out where the tomb is, because there's, you know, it's ruins. He doesn't know which one's hers. And then he figures it out, and they all dig it up, and they open up the coffin, and oh my goodness gracious, there is the Countess Mircalla, and she has been dead for like a while, right? Nope, not this corpse. Fresh as a daisy. And also, like, just laying in 7 inches of blood, like it's a fucking jacuzzi, just laying in a blood puddle. And the first things first, they gotta stake her. So they get the stake. They stake her in the heart, and she wakes up at that and starts screaming. I mean, obviously, who wouldn't, right? And as she's screaming bloody murder about her getting staked in the heart, they grab the hatchets and they chop off her head, and they're like, you know what? Let's double tap this, okay? Let's make sure she doesn't come back, okay? They take her body and take her head, and then they burn it. They're like, nope, we are getting rid of this vampire for good. So Carmilla, Mircalla, whatever you want to call her, she is officially dead. No more unstable, violent, sexy lesbian vampire on the loose. So, yay, Laura's saved. The end. Happy ending. That's about it. But overall, I had a really good time with this. Sexy, violent lesbian vampires. And here we are. Carmilla. I did it. I read it. I've been wanting to read it for a really long time. I hope you guys enjoyed, because it was fun. I haven't done a drunk classics in so long. These are really fun. Especially if they're not like a super long book. It's really fun just to have a drinking night and read a book. Let me know in the comments down below. What are some other iconic vampire books you could recommend? And they don't have to necessarily be classics or anything, because technically Twilight is an iconic vampire book. What are your iconic vampire faves? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you want cool exclusive content, you should consider becoming a channel member or a patron for early access to videos and a book club. And on that note, I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.